backup music here for
While you're waiting.
Seems like I'm counting as particularly
These minutes seem
when you're so early.
It's too quiet here for that.
wow. 60 seconds is a long time.
Yeah. I immediately start thinking of bad court stories to fill the time.
Really? Did you put any bad people in jail today, or
Always.
Yeah,
always?
there you go.
All the bad people?
Always.
Every day?
We had some interesting people today.
A long time ago, when I was the acting prosecutor, I let bad people leave. Had a case, called it first case. Guy was done. He turned around and said, "Can I leave?" I said, "Sure." So he left. And then we got to the end of the docket, and you know how it is? You put a stack of files on your desk, right? And get down to the last file, opened up. There's nobody in the courtroom except me and the judge and the bailiff. I call his name. The bailiff was laughing his head off. He said, "What's so funny?" He said, "He was the first guy you called today. He asked if he could leave. You let him leave." So go get him. We need him.
That was a long time ago.
Yeah.
Oh,
So much for helping
mercy.
you out, man.
I know, yeah, because they knew, and they just kept
Such a
quiet.
nice guy.
I know.
There's a new guy.
Well, when you're the acting prosecutor, you walk in, you got a stack of files this big, and you've never seen them before. You never even looked at them. You just like open it up and go. Yeah.
Can you leave? Sure, I don't want to. Good. I'm finished.
Oh, mercy.
Okay, now we're down to the final countdown.
Oh, okay.
Here's the 30.
Nice big that. It's like commercial on TV in the microwave with the band comes out the wall. Final countdown. Good evening. I'd like to call this Tuesday, February 16th, 2016, meeting of Middletown City Council to order. If you please stand and join me in a moment of meditation, please. Amen.
Amen.
Leading us today in the pledge is, we have two Boy Scouts from Troop 1 joining us from Middletown. Kobe Wilder, Assistant Senior Patrol Leader, and Austin Vickers. So, gentlemen, I'll let you lead us in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you for joining us. Appreciate your service and your time spending scouting, and hopefully you get a lot out of it. So enjoyed spending time with you guys on Sunday as well. And with that, Ms. Kent, could you call the roll, please?
Miss Bronston. Here. Mr. Bohannon.
Here.
Mr. Moon.
Here.
Mr. Picard.
Here.
Mayor Mulligan.
Here. All right. Under citizens' comments, I'd like to invite Ms. Julie Joyce Smith down from the auditor's office.
Thank
Good
you,
evening.
Mayor Mulligan. Thank you. Welcome. Thank you for having me, is what I meant. Just flustered.
We're all tongue-tied, so.
The silence before the meeting. Once again, I just wanted to thank you for letting me come on my quarterly visit to let you know what's going on in the auditor's office that might affect your constituents here in Middletown. The first thing I want to talk about a little bit is a year ago I was really excited to tell you that the state of Ohio passed some legislation that would extend the homestead exemption to disabled veterans. Our excitement was short-lived when we realized that the legislation in the VA didn't really have the same language, so we were really restricted in who we could give that benefit to. I'm very proud of my boss to say that he picked up the phone and started shaking some bushes to get the legislation corrected. And in November, I'm happy to report that that Governor Kasich did close those loopholes. So now we're able to properly dispense the exemption to those who are disabled veterans. Prior to this, you had to be 100% disabled and receiving compensation, and which is a little backwards. The VA will grant, if you're 60% or more disabled, they considered you 100% compensatable. So the two now mesh, and we're able to grant that. Just a few little statistics for you here in Middletown. Your citizens here in Middletown that qualify for homestead save $568 annually off their tax bill. Disabled veteran would save $1,137 annually off their tax bill. So it is definitely something worth pursuing. We are now in the process of doing some advertising to be able to get that to the folks who need it the most. So if you're interested, we can link you to our website through your website. If there's brochures, I have some. I'm happy to leave some. If you know of anybody who might be eligible, we'd rather them ask and have us look twice than to not get it for them at all. Another interesting statistic, or at least I find statistics interesting, that here in Middletown you have 3,500 parcels that are qualifying on homestead this year. So that's a good thing. I don't know, I get nerdy about statistics. So my second item is, it is that time of year where your citizens here, if they feel that their values are too high or in some cases too low, they may appeal their values through the Board of Revision. They have until March 31st to do so. If anyone is interested, once again, contact me, the office, go to our website, holler. I'll do our best to get the information to those who need it. And finally, CAUV, which is the current agricultural use value, which is the exemption for the farming program. We're currently in the process of renewing those. Every year, those who participate in that program must renew. It's a requirement that they renew it annually. And I just decided to look up to see what's still going on here in Middletown. There's still currently 31 tracts of land that are active in the CAUV program in the city of Middletown, with a total of 944 acres. So there's still a significant amount of acreage here left in the city that participate in that program. So with that being said, just a reminder that real estate tax bills are due March 3rd. If you haven't received your bill, I'm doing a little plug for Nancy Nix's office here tonight. If you haven't received your bill, you should have by now, and by all means call her office or our office and we can see what we can do to make sure you get your bill. Once again, if there's any questions for me ever, I'm happy to entertain them here, now, at the office, whenever you'd like. I'm available by email and telephone, all the conventional methods. So thank you for your time.
Thank you, Ms. Smith. Appreciate you coming down. All right, Mr. Atkins, our city manager reports.
Yes, Your Honor. Thank you. Appreciate it. And good evening, Mayor and Council. One item on your list tonight, as I took over about a year and a half ago, one of the things that I wanted to work on was the way that we handled our customer service and the way our employees interacted with the public. And as part of that, we created the Middletown Way, which is a standard of conduct that I expect all of our employees to adhere to. As we got that out and rolled it out, one of the things I had asked was that we retool the employee recognition program. I gave that task to Human Resources. They in turn put together a committee of staff and employees from each department, and they've been working on this for the past several months. There are 3 phases. We're only going to cover the public phase tonight, correct? There's a part of the program I have the opportunity to interact with employees and recognize outstanding service that we see. We also have a peer-to-peer program where employees see other employees doing things above and beyond the call of duty that allow us to recognize each other. And then there's a portion for the public. And with that tonight, I'm going to ask Alexis Fitzsimmons, our Assistant Economic Development Director and one of the staff employees to help put this together, to go over the public part of the employee recognition program.
Good evening, Ms. Fitzsimmons.
Good evening. As Doug said, we are a group of employees who come together to establish this employee recognition program. And the customer service portion of the program is available for the public to use to help us better refine our service to them, be good stewards to the public in our positions, and also to give us the opportunity to know what we're doing right, wrong, and what we can improve upon. So the way that the employee recognition program works for the customer service portion is that there is now a kiosk located in the lobby. You may have noticed that. So anyone from the public that has felt that they've received excellent service from any employee in the city, whether it's from the water billing, which you see right up front and center, as soon as you walk in the door, any department within the city that has helped them get through any issue at all can put in at that place, what their situation was, how they were helped, and why they felt that this employee went above and beyond the call of duty. The other place for those that have computers at home and the ability to use the internet and so forth, there is a section on the city's website that you can go to. It's very front and center. There's a scrolling section of pictures right at the top of the front page of the city website. One of those pictures is decorated with stars, and in bright red and yellow says customer service nominations. And those who are so inclined can go to that section of the website to put in a nomination for that particular employee. Now, we all know that we don't always receive this type of feedback from our customers, from the citizenry of Middletown, and the form that we want to receive it in electronically. So there's a way for anyone that, if we receive an email through department emails, info emails or whatever, or phone calls from citizens praising our employees, it is set up so that department heads can go in and say, I received this phone call or this email on this day or date saying this about this employee, what a great job they did. And so they can submit it in that fashion. Once an employee is nominated for a customer service award, a letter will be placed in the personnel file showing that they did exemplary service for the citizens of Middletown. And then Doug will deliver a certificate to the employee thanking them for their service and the work that they've done to support our mission. So.
Good.
Any questions?
Any questions for Mrs. Fitzsimmons? Appreciate your work on that. Certainly a great way to recognize our employees. I know a lot of them do great jobs every day, and it's great to give the public access to recognize them and acknowledge that.
Yeah,
So
we're
thank
all
you.
really excited about the program. Thank you.
Thank you, Alexis. I will add, if you haven't seen the kiosk in the lobby, stop by it sometime at your convenience to take a look at it. It's touchscreen. Troy and I started talking about this several months ago. I said, I go to a conference or something and you stay at a hotel, and a lot of times you want to know where you're going to eat, and you can go over and tink, 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 and, I want, American within 3 blocks, and it'll show you everything. I said, why can't we do something like that for the city? And so that's what Troy has been working on. That's what's up there is the prototype for that. It gives you a number of places how to find things, not only geographically, but I want to do this, and it'll tell you who does that. And then it'll show you where to go to find that person on which floor, and then give you a little map showing you around. Gives you some opportunities to interact with it. We're going to use that for some period of time when we feel like we've adapted that and we've gotten everything right and everything good, and we've talked to customers about what worked and what didn't. There are other modules that we're going to explore. Don't know for a fact they're going to go forward, but there's modules that will allow us to, you could pay your water bill at the kiosk. You could pay a traffic fine at the kiosk. Theoretically, you could bond out somebody at the kiosk if you wanted to. That would probably be set up down in police. Again, still at the early stages. We've got some things to do before we actually get further along and determine exactly how that would go. The other option we've looked at is there's even the ability to put out something like at the mall, a kiosk at the mall, where, again, rather if you don't want to come downtown, you could go to the mall and swipe your credit card and pay your bill there. Even to the point, and again, we haven't decided how much of this we're going to do, but it has the capacity to even print, if you hooked it into our police database, you could print traffic accident reports and things like that. There's some issues with having printer paper and everything at the mall, and how often we'd have to restock it and how that would all work. There's a lot of things to talk about, but it's a very interesting concept. There are a lot of capabilities that this machine has, and we're going to explore which ones we think we can both maintain and would be of value to the public, and where would be the best places to put them. But this is our first prototype, our first little experimentation with this. Again, we're trying to find better and more ways that customers can come in, do their business with the city. If you want to talk to somebody, come talk to us. If you don't want to talk to somebody, come in, do your business, get back out. You don't have to, stand in a line. You don't have to worry and wait. You don't have to talk to somebody if you don't want to. So we're happy to take your money and let you go back down the road. So we'll be, like I said, playing with that over the next 2, 3, 4, 5 months, and as it moves forward, if we get it worked out and we see it seems to have value, we'll be looking at the police and then potentially public options where out in the public you could use these kiosks to get your business done with the school with the city without having to come into the building. So interesting stuff. And that's everything I have, Your Honor.
All right, thank you very much. That brings us to our consent agenda. Ms. Skank?
For your consideration this evening, we have the approval of the City Council minutes from January 23rd and February 2nd, 2016. To receive and file Board and Commission minutes from the Board of Health, March the 10th, 2015. Midpoint Library Board, November 7th and December 15th, 2015. Park Board, January 4th, 2016. To confirm personnel appointments of Jeffrey Green, Zoning Administrator, Community Revitalization Department, and Deborah Lindsay, part-time bus driver, Community Revitalization Department, Transit.
Okay, do we have a motion for the approval of the issues and actions listed on the consent agenda?
So moved.
Okay, do we have a second?
Second.
All right, Ms. Skank, would you call the roll, please?
Mr. Bohannon?
Yes.
Mr. Moon?
Yes.
Mr. Picard?
Yes.
Mayor Mulligan?
Yes.
Ms. Bronston?
Yes.
We have one motion item this evening.
To authorize the city manager to enter into a contract with R.A. Miller Construction Company, Incorporated, to proceed with the 2016 Urban Paving Sidewalk Curb and Gutter Program.
Good evening again, Mayor. The city is proposing to proceed with the 2016 Urban Paving Sidewalk Curb and Gutter Program. This would replace defective concrete curbs, sidewalks, drive aprons, and handicap ramps along Verity Parkway between Girard and Titus in advance of the paving work to be completed by ODOT this summer. 4 contractors submitted bids for this project. R.A. Miller submitted the lowest and best bid, which in turn was 30% lower than our original estimate and 14% lower than the next bidder. This project will be funded by the General Capital Fund. Where applicable, the costs for the sidewalk and the drive aprons will be assessed to the adjacent property owners.
Okay, thank you. Any questions from Mr. Atkins? All right, I'll entertain a motion to authorize the city manager to enter into a contract with R.A. Miller Construction Company to proceed with the 2016 Urban Paving Sidewalk Curb and Gutter Program.
So moved.
Okay, do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Ms. Skank, would you call the roll, please?
Mr. Moon?
Yes.
Mr. Picard?
Yes.
Mayor Mulligan?
Yes.
Mr. Bohannon?
Yes.
Ms. Bronston?
Yes.
All right, and that brings us to our council comments this evening. We'll start with Mr. Moon.
Thank you, Mayor. I had the opportunity to attend a couple events this past 2 weeks. The first one was the 3R development program on Saturday, the Silent Heroes event. Minister Celeste and her team did an excellent job. I'd like to congratulate everybody that was honored. The second item I wanted to mention tonight was last week as well. I got the opportunity to attend a planning session for One Bistro, which is looking at coming to town in April. I asked if it would be okay if I shared a little bit of information about them tonight, and they were happy to let me do that. So kind of basically their elevator speech is that One Bistro is a non-profit, pay what you can afford restaurant. This means everyone who walks through the door eats regardless of their ability to pay. If someone cannot pay, we ask them to give us an hour of their time in exchange for their meal. Others that can pay are asked if they would consider paying it forward and helping with the cost of someone else's meal. It's a simple concept that lets everyone be a part of our community and has the power to let everyone walk out of our doors with not only a full stomach but a full heart. So again, they're looking at coming to town in April with a food truck and then potentially a permanent location after that. It's a potentially exciting project for downtown.
All right, thank you. Mr. Bohannon?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. On Sunday, I was able to attend a very nice outing with Troop 1, Scoutmaster Scott Walker, celebrating their 100 years in service in Middletown. A lot of young men and women that are participating in the Troop 1 program, and wanted to give them thanks and congratulations on 100 years. Also today, went to the ribbon cutting ceremonies for the Planet Fitness at the mall. They've purchased a little over 27,000 square feet of floor space. They've got exercise equipment and all that. I mean, it's fabulous the amount of stuff that they've got in there. And the other thing that's nice about it is when you're driving by the mall from the 122, the parking lot's full. So that's a good thing. So I just wanted to pass that on and congratulate them for their ribbon cutting ceremony. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Mr. Picard?
Thank you, Mayor. I have no comments.
Ms. Bronston?
Yes, sir. I also attended a number of activities last week.
One was the Faith Breakfast for the Safety Council Coalition. A lot of people from the various churches were there. Some of the youth from the high school were speakers, and it was a great turnout and great food. I also attended my first OKI board meeting and orientation, and everyone was so welcoming, and I was able to do the Pledge of Allegiance there, and seems to be a great group of people. I have two announcements. I have flyers here for Krispy Kreme, who is having a job fair tomorrow, February 17th, at 4631 Dixie Highway in Fairfield. Applications can be applied online at sweetplacetowork.com. They are hiring, and they are hiring FT packers and processors with full benefits. After 2 consecutive 6 months of completed work within that first year, they will increase their hourly pay by 25 cents, and there's a $250 sign-in bonus for those people who remain in work after 90 days. So Krispy Kreme is hiring in Monroe, Ohio. The other thing I have is a request from 2 young men in our community, Cal Willis and Aaron Mays. They are collecting water for Flint, Michigan. The drop-off point there will be at the Jordan Hall Pretty Memorial Chapel, and there are a number of other places, but this one says on February 21st or February 22nd. And I think that completes my announcements.
All right, thank you very much. I had the privilege to attend a number of those events as well too, and I'd just like to recognize a couple different things. One, on the employee front, we had yet another snow event over the weekend, and I appreciate the city crews getting out and addressing that. I think they kept up pretty well with the snow, and it's always a challenge when it comes in the phases as it did, but I think the streets were well tended to, and hopefully spring is on its way and we won't be dealing with salt or plows anymore. And also had the privilege to present to Middletown Community Foundation's Youth Council here in council chambers a couple weeks ago. It's a great program the Community Foundation runs to really orient the youth leaders in the community, in the surrounding communities. They service, I think, 7 different school districts, but get them plugged into what's happening in different communities, and allows us to share what's going on in our communities. And they do some good work with introducing philanthropic work for the youth, and get them plugged into that. So really enjoyed working through that. And with that, we can move to our legislation. Ms. Cohen?
Mayor. 4 matters to consider this evening. The first 3 are going to be an emergency. Prior proceeding, ask with the motion to waive the charter provisions requiring separate readings and 30 days to enactment for Ordinance O 2016-03, Ordinance O 2016-04, and Resolution R 2016-05.
I'd like to make a motion to suspend the charter that requires 2 readings on 2 separate days, and to declare ordinance 02016-03, 02016-04, and R2016-05 as emergency measures to be read one time only.
Okay, do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Skaggs, would you call the roll, please?
Mr. Picard.
Yes.
Mayor Mulligan.
Yes.
Ms. Bronston.
Yes.
Mr. Bohannon.
Yes.
Mr. Moon.
Yes.
Thank you. The first matter is Ordinance O 2016-03, an ordinance establishing a procedure for and authorizing an amendment to the contract with O.R. Colon and Associates for acquisition services associated with improving Yankee Road Phase 3 and declaring an emergency. We discussed this briefly at the last meeting.
Okay, do we have a motion to adopt?
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
Okay, Mr. Atkins, or anything else from the update?
Nothing other than what was presented at the last meeting.
Okay, all right. Any questions or comments? Ms. Kank, would you call the roll, please?
Mayor Mulligan.
Yes.
Ms. Bronston.
Yes.
Mr. Bohannon.
Yes.
Mr. Moon.
Yes.
Mr. Picard.
Yes.
Thank you. Next matter is going to be Ordinance O 2016-04, an ordinance establishing a procedure for and authorizing a contract for the transfer of city-owned property located at 1316 Vale Street to Liberty Spirits LLC for redevelopment and declaring an emergency.
Okay, do we have a motion to adopt?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Mr. Atkins?
Yes, Your Honor. I know council has received a few questions, and I have as well on this one. I wanted to go over a fair amount, and I apologize. It's going to take me a couple minutes to go through this. The purpose of this is to transfer 1316 Vale to Liberty Spirits LLC to be redeveloped into a retail distillery-related business, including barrel aging, storage, finished product storage, retail sales, gift shop sales, and other sales activities authorized by the developer's distilling license at that property. The final use will ultimately be dependent on changes that are currently pending in state law. The business could include also a tasting and counter and retail sales, or it could include a full bar with by the glass sales of liquor on premises. Wanted to go over how we got this property and how we have gotten to this point. In May 2010, City Council enacted Resolution R 2010-12, which authorized the purchase of 1316 Vale from Mid-Custom Cabinet Company for a price of $90,000. That money was taken from the downtown fund. This transfer also includes the grassy area facing Central. That was actually two parcels. The old Barb's Pub building was forfeited to the state of Ohio for non-payment of taxes, and that was in turn deeded to the city at no cost. The Apostle of River of Power Ministries white building next door to it was purchased for $100,000 using federal HUD recession grants. If you remember, during the recession in 2009, the city received a number of special grants that were designed to stimulate the economy and get us out of the Great Recession. $100,000 of that was used in this project. $85,000 came from the Neighborhood Stabilization Program. $15,000 came from our old UDEG fund, also a HUD fund. This was completed by resolution number R 2009-42. The two buildings on the property were demolished by O'Rourke Wrecking by bid for $115,000. That was also paid for by NSP funds and HUD grants. All said, the two demolished buildings and the two vacant lots have no local dollars spent on acquisition and demolition. Since the demolition, the city has spent $3,144 in mowing those two vacant lots. The building on Vale has a 3-foot hole in the roof and has been exposed to the elements for some time. The auditor's value currently listed at $79,950. It's a cement building that's been exposed to the elements for several years. It's also been vacant and unmaintained. I believe that price to be on the high side, but that is what is currently on the auditor's site. Mr. Robinette has applied for state assistance. They have performed a vetting of his project finances and found him to be okay before they signed on with their assistance. The distillery equipment for this has been ordered and is scheduled to be delivered in March. Under Section 4 of the development agreement, which you have before you, if the property is not completely developed by December 31st, 2016, he will be in default under the agreement. Under Section 7 of the development agreement, if an event of default exists for his failure to complete construction of the improvements, the city may, at its option, give the developer written notice that the title will revert to the city within 60 days from the date of the notice. He does have time during that 60 days to finish the business and open to avoid losing it by reversion. He cannot transfer title during this agreement to another party. That was our attempt to make sure that it got done or that the building came back to the city. We learned a little bit from some of our other agreements how to put a closing date on the end of that. You do have preliminary drawings of the building and the overall footprint in your agreement. I've had a couple comments from the public about the intelligence of adding another bar downtown and the fact that it might hurt existing business. The concept for downtown has always been to create a destination that catered to many different interests. You see clusters of similar businesses in close quarters. That seems to be the scope of where business is heading these days. Examples would include CVS and Walgreens on opposite corners of each other. Lowe's and Home Depot building almost next door to each other. These are clustering. This would be a clustering of drinking establishments with the hope that with the operating designated outdoor refreshment area, whether you drink beer, wine, or distilled liquor or coffee, downtown is hopefully where you want to come to get your drink of choice. This is going to be similar to Newport on the Levee over the Rhine in Cincinnati, the Oregon District in Dayton. This is a similar concept to that. I would also note that, one of the things that has become hot, which has been a long time coming, is downtowns are becoming the place to be again. And what you notice now is not only are downtowns starting to come back, but places like the new Liberty Center that don't have a downtown are actually trying to create one with their clustering of walkable streets, the shops they're creating, and now the apartments they're building on premises, again, to build that concept, that feel of downtown for places that don't even have a downtown. This is similar to that area. I would note that the building has sat empty on Vail since 2010. We've been mowing the vacant lots for the last 6 years. Originally in 2009, when we had started on this, the idea was to clear the entire block and open up the area for redevelopment. So we have not found the cash to demolish the studio theater, so that plan is effectively set idle for the last 6 years. This is a chance to put that building back into use and a reverter clause if it doesn't get done. I like the concept. I think it's a good concept. I think we put sufficient provisions to protect us moving forward, and staff is recommending that we move forward on this project. This will be up for council's actual vote in 2 weeks to again give everybody a chance to put additional comments into council and to staff, and it will be ready for action.
So we're not looking for action tonight?
No, that's will be asked for emergency
Okay.
passage on March 1st.
Okay, so that's, okay, I was thinking I had that down that we were doing it tonight. Sorry about that. So we had a motion and a second that we didn't need, but okay.
And that's everything I have on that, Your Honor.
Okay. Any questions for Mr. Atkins on the proposed transfer to Liberty Spirits?
Yes, I have something for Mr. Atkins or Ms. Cohen. Do we have any sort of obligation to put this out for bid, or has there been any other interest by other parties, or is this kind of the sole opportunity at this point?
There's been no other interest. We have never put it out for RFP or for bid. Council could do that. You have, again, a business ready to take ownership and move forward immediately. But that is an option. It's always an option to put it out. We do have the right to waive the bidding process. We own it. We can do almost anything we want to with it.
There's no requirement by law that we do that?
Correct.
Any other questions or comments? Okay, so we'll take action in a couple weeks on that then.
On March 1st, yes, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Next matter will be Resolution R 2016-05, final resolution authorizing the city manager to enter a contract with the State of Ohio Department of Transportation for the resurfacing of a portion of State Route 4, Verity Parkway, declaring an emergency.
And we motion to adopt?
So be it.
And a second?
Second.
All right, thank you.
Your Honor, I brought this up at the city manager reports at the last meeting. We had passed preliminary resolutions authorizing this project on State Route 4. There have been some final changes in the language that need to be adopted by council. This is the resolution that will do that. This is for Route 4 between Girard and Titus. The city's share of the project is estimated to be $224,312. It will be funded by the General Capital Fund, and ODOT needs this back by March 9th to return the executed agreements and to make the project deadline, which is why we are asking for emergency tonight.
Okay. Any questions for Mr. Atkins? Certainly good to be talking about paving. Sounds
Yes,
good. So,
very much so.
Ms. Skank, would you call the roll, please?
Mr. Bohannon.
Yes.
Mr. Moon.
Yes.
Mr. Picard.
Yes.
Mayor Mulligan.
Yes.
Ms. Bronston.
Yes.
And the last matter is before you for a first reading. Ordinance O 2016-05, an ordinance authorizing a contract with Buick GMC of Beechwood for the purchase of a GMC Sierra 15 automobile.
Your Honor, this is a first reading. Community Revitalization Department, one of the things we did in the Planning Department as part of the changes for 2016 is split the planning and zoning into two separate positions. We have now, through the consent agenda, hired our new zoning administrator. As a result, we are going to need an additional vehicle to go out and do the zoning inspections. One of the things that we are happy about is we, in the past, by having Mr. Kohler tied up in the office, did not get out during construction in many cases to be able to make sure that signs and things were put in the right locations, setbacks were observed, and what sometimes happened is things were not put in at the right place, and by the time building inspection or somebody else noticed it, electric had been run, and so the path was so far along that if we were going to demand them comply with the zoning code as they had done at Planning Commission or through BZA, there was a significant cost, and that's one of the reasons we wanted to get this out. Councilman Picard has raised a couple questions, and I'm glad this is a first reading. I have some information I need to gather for council, and I will be doing that. And I apologize, Mr. Tadish was out sick today, and I could not get that information. I am going to ask that it goes forward as a first reading. I will pass this along as I get Mr. Tadish back in the office and can get the information that was requested. I'll get it out to all members of council. This could be tabled at the second reading. It could go forward as presented, and if there's a reason to change vehicles, we could, again, either amend the second reading or go with the vote this one down and go with the second one. We will adjust on the fly as we move forward, and I will get all the information out to council long before you have to make a vote.
Okay. All right.
That's all I have, Your Honor.
All right. Thank you very much. With that, our last agenda item is an executive session, so I need a motion under the authority of Ohio Revised Code 121.22G2 to consider the purchase of property for public purposes or for the sale of property competitive bidding if premature disclosure of information would give an unfair competitive or bargaining advantage.
So moved.
Second.
Okay. Ms. Kank, would you call the roll?
Mr. Moon?
Yes.
Mr. Picard?
Yes.
Mayor Mulligan?
Yes.
Mr. Bohannon?
Yes.
Ms. Bronston?
Yes.
All right, following our executive session, we'll just be recessing to our next meeting in these chambers on March 1st at 5:30. Thank you all and have a good evening.
Thank you, Your Honor.